Yeah. Okay, all right, guys. I think today what we are going to see is a small, a mini project that we are going to talk about today. Okay, it is related to a BMI calculator. This is how the screen would look like, and what it contains, and what it is. We'll talk about that one by one. So first of all, what is BMI? BMI stands for Body Mass Index, and what is this? It is a measure of a body fat based on the height and weight of a person. Based on the height and the weight, you can decide what the BMI index would be for a person, whether it is a male or a female. Based on that, you can able to find the BMI index. Now, what it contains. So first, what you see here is a container. Okay, this is what the container would look like, and inside that a container there is a header. All right, and once there is a header which is talk about a BMI calculator, and then there is an input. You will receive the input from the user that will say the input height, and then there will be a input weight. So you're going to input the weight and height. Height will be in centimeters and weight will be in kilograms. And then there is a button at the bottom which will be a result button. Okay, so the moment you hit on the calculate button, and that would provide you the result of the BMI index. Okay, based on the height and the weight that you would provide for a particular adult. So this is what we are going to talk about today, how to build this particular a small mini application. All right. Now, this is what goes behind the scene. So how do you compute? What's the formula for the BMI calculator? So it would be BMI will be equal to weight of a person in kilograms, and then height of a person, and here it is written the other way. Height should be in meters and weight should be in kilograms. So height would be in centimeters. You can go ahead and convert that to centimeters, and then there would be a weight as well. Okay, height and weight. So weight divided by height square, height into height. That is what the formula for computing the BMI would be like. Now, once you know that this is the BMI index, there are certain results that you need to throw up. So like if the BMI index is less than 18.5, depending on the height and weight that you provide in terms of centimeters and kilograms, if it is less than 18.5, this is considered as an underweight. And if a BMI index is greater than or equal to 18.5, but less than 24.90, then this is considered to be a normal. Okay, this is what the result would show: normal, the index followed by the whether it is normal or underweight, overweight, obesity class 1, obesity class 2, and extremely obesity. Okay, so these are different values between 18.5 to 24.90, and then between 25 to 29.90 would be overweight, 30 and 34.90 would be class 1 obesity, and so on. All right, this is what we are going to talk about and construct this particular application using these formulae, and also the results logic that we are going to put in. Okay, now consider this particular snapshot or a mock-up of the screen that we are going to build. For this, let's get started with our Visual Studio Code, and parallelly I want to open up the browser to look at the output. So first, it would, let's say it would be a BMI calculator. All right, so I'll save. That is what is going to see up on the BMI calculator. This is the title, and then what I'm going to do, so here is the mockup that's going to look like. So there will be a container, and then there will be a header, then the input, then here is the input that I'm going to receive about the height and weight, and then there is a button that I need to create. So let's go ahead and create the initially let's create the skeleton, which is nothing but our HTML code. So let's say inside the body, let's say I'm going to create a div tag, and this div tag will contain what? A h1, which will store and which will read a BMI calculator. Let's say BMI calculator. All right. And then there will be again an input that I need to receive, that let's say I'm going to add a paragraph, okay, simple p tag, and this p tag would read what? Height in terms of centimeters, okay. And then below that I'm going to talk about, let's say, let me zoom it a bit so that you can see the output parallelly. And also we have this input label, right? We need to add the input tag, and input tag would be of a number, because that is what we need to capture. It's a number type. And once this is done, because if I hover the mouse over it, it will allow me to enter the number. Okay, that is what I'm going to talk about here. And then correspondingly there would also be a weight also is there, right? So weight, and weight should be in terms of kilograms, or let's say kg, or simply in small kg. And then again another input tag, sorry, input tag, and that input tag will also be a number. Okay, that will also be a number, and that would store the weight in terms of kgs. All right, so now we have a header, we have two labels, and then we have two inputs elements, and those are of the type number. And finally I got to create a button, and this button would say what? Calculate, right? That is what it's going to say. Calculate. All right, so that is a button that I have which says calculate. All right. And finally, there should be a sum container at the below. The moment I hit, I add a height and I add a weight, and then I hit calculate, then it's going to show me the message, whether it is a normal or obesity class 1, obesity class 2, or extreme obesity. All that details is going to show up below. And that for that, I can go ahead and create, let's say, I'll create another div, right? Another div just to have that value displayed here. All right. So this is what my simple skeleton would look like, or which is nothing but my HTML code. And for that, I can go ahead and name different classes and IDs. Let's say for this, I'll create a class called container. Okay, that's a container. And H1, I can select this by H1 tag. We don't need any class to it. And for a height, I can say an identifier. Let's say I'll create an identifier called height. And for this weight, I'll create another identifier. Sorry, the identifier called weight. And here there are two identifiers which are created. And finally, for this button also, let me go ahead and create another ID which says btn. And for a div, because this is going to store the results, I can go ahead and create maybe result. All right, so this is pretty much HTML that can work for the BMI calculator. And at the same time, let's go ahead and do certain styling. Okay, let's say I'll add a style tag, which is the CSS part of things, which is a style tag inside my head tag. And initially I'll add a universal selector. Okay, it's asterisk or a star. Let's say I'll add font font family. Okay, font family. Let's say, what can I select? Maybe Arial, Helvetica, and Sans Serif. This should be good enough. All right, that should be good. And then let's say body. I'll add a body tag, body selector. Inside the body selector, let's say I'll display that into flex, because I want that to be arranged. Display flex. And then The body, what else I can do? Maybe I can center align it. Okay. Then for the center alignment, maybe I'll say justify content. Okay. So that the flex can take care of the center alignment. Okay. So now I can see that in center. This should be good. And once my body is arranged, what else I have got? Maybe this is good. And next is I need to create a shadow kind of a thing, right? Because if you observe here, there is a little bit of shadow that is created around the container, and the container itself is kind of a curved in the borders are curved or rounded in nature. So I can go ahead and do that as well. And let's take that because there is already a class that is created called container. I can make use of that class, right? Dot container, because dot is a class selector, so I can go ahead and select the class. Inside the class container, maybe what I can do, box shadow, I can add box shadow. Let's say because the box shadow color is gray, I can go ahead and say maybe 0 pixel, 0 pixel, let's say 20 pixel should be good enough. And then there is a 10 pixel, let's see, 10 pixel. And for that, the color I can go ahead and give is gray. All right. So if I go ahead, yeah, this is good. I can see a little bit of shadow that is coming out. All right. And I can also add padding. Okay. Padding and margin I can go ahead and add because there is no space coming up from the top. I can add a padding and margin as well. Let's see. Once shadow is there, let's go ahead and add margin. Okay, let's go margin. Maybe I'll add margin to the top. Let's say 50 pixel. Okay. So I can have a little bit of margin there. And let me add padding as well. Let's say padding I'll add throughout. Okay, which is top, bottom, left, and right. And for that, I can go ahead and give like 50 pixel as well. So yeah, I can see this coming up good. I have a shadow created. I have a margin, 50 pixel at the top, and there is a padding that I have given. You can see top, bottom, left, and right. There is a padding of 50 pixel, and then I can go ahead and make this as a border radius as well because we need to create a rounded edges, right? So border radius. Let's say border radius maybe 10 pixel is good. Yeah, a little bit more. Maybe I can add 30 pixel. Yeah, this should be good. There is a border that I have created. Good. So once the border is created, there is a border, and what else I can do? Text alignment, maybe. Text alignment center. I can see one below the other. Nice. The text alignment is good enough. And what else? What else is there? Yeah, there is a coloring of this button. There is an underline that should come up. Okay, we'll see it. We'll see that one by one. Now this is body and weight, text alignment center. Nice. Let's say for the input elements, there is something that we have an input tag also created, right? So let's say I'll add something for the input element. Input and then close. Uh, because there is a border already there, I need to remove the border. Okay, so for that, border is equal to none, which means it will remove the border. But I need to add this underline. Okay, border is removed from all the sides, but there should be something that we need at the bottom, right? So for that, what I can do, let's say border bottom, I can add after this border bottom, and that should be border bottom. I can add somewhere 1 pixel solid, and the color I can give is dark gray. Dark gray. Right? So now how is this going to look? All right. And then let's say I'll add a little bit of width, and width of the basically for the input, let's say I'll add 50%. 50%. And then outline also I need to remove. Okay, that is the reason it is not showing up. Outline, let's say I'll make it outline also now. All right. Border none, this is okay. All right. Solid here. This is good because it was SOLD that I wrote. It should be a typo. So this can show me the underline as well. All right. So this is good enough for my input. It is having an underline, and if I hover over it, I can go ahead and add those numbers, and also let's say I'll add a little bit of padding. Okay. Padding, let's say 10 pixels. Okay. Let's say 10 pixels of padding, and then else I can go ahead. Okay, if I go ahead and add the value, yeah, this is good. Text alignment also, let me add it to the center. Text align currently, because if you see it is coming at the leftmost corner, right? Let's make it at the center. And if I do this, yeah, it is right at the center now. All right, and this will be my input element. So there is a BMI calculator header, there is an input element, this and this, and then there is a, let's do something for the button now. Okay, button, what we have given, button we have given an identifier as well. Either I can select the ID btl or button as an element only. Because there is no other button, I can go ahead and select just button, an element selector basically. So for that button, so I can see the color is light green, right? So let's say background color is equal to light green, or maybe light sea green, or teal, maybe teal or what. So it's one, maybe I can say teal. All right, teal is good. Yeah, teal is good. All right, so that is background color, and I need to remove, maybe let's say width. Width is like 100%. I'm going to add, and then let's say height. Height is like maybe 30 pixel. 30 pixel. Okay, let me increase little bit. 35 pixel. And if you can observe, the bottom is touching here. I need certain space here, right? So maybe I can add a little bit of a margin. Okay, let's say margin at the top. All right, and that margin, let's add 25 pixel. Okay, good. And then I'll remove the borders because there is a light border that's coming up. Maybe borders none. All right, borders none. It will remove. Maybe I'll add a little bit of rounded edges. Okay, border radius basically. Okay, border radius might be like 10 pixel. Okay, yeah, good. So that looks similar to this what we observe in our mockup. Okay, this is similar, and again the font is in white color, right? Here it is black. Yeah, maybe we can change that as well. Let's say color. Okay, color is equal to white, and that is going to change the font. Okay, and also maybe increase the font size as well. Font size is equal to maybe 25 pixel. Yeah, good. A little bit maybe reduce 22. Yeah, good, good. So this is good. And this is looking similar. All right. Border radius, maybe I can give a little bit more, maybe 20 pixel. Yeah, now this is a little bit similar. All right. So what we have created so far is a good take for us. Okay, we can go ahead and build the logic here in order to run. So maybe what we can do is write a JavaScript code now that will handle this particular DOM elements. So we have created the border, we have created the container, and a little bit of shadow of it. We have the placeholder to capture the height and the weight, and there is a button as well. So let's go ahead and see what can be done for the let's say for the scripting part of it. All right. So let's say I add the script in the head itself. Let's say script tag. Inside that, I'm going to add my JavaScript code, or maybe I can include external JavaScript as well. That is also fine. So just I want to create inside it. Let's say what happens. So whenever you are loading, the window loads the particular index page, which is nothing but the index.html page. I want to do certain things. So for that, let's say window dot onload. Whenever window dot onload is loaded, I'm going to call arrow function, and that arrow function will do a lot of things. Okay. So what it can do, first let me let me have it here. First is I'm selecting the button, because that is what the action will happen. All right, that is the event will trigger. Const, let's say button, I'll name it as button. Button is equal to document dot query query selector, and in that query selector I'm going to select btn. Okay, because that is what the id that I have given to it, right? So if you observe, the button has got the id btn. Okay, that is what I'm going to select it first. So select button, and this button selection would return and capture the element into the button variable, and on that button I'm going to add an event listener. Okay, what the event listener method will do. So button dot add event listener, and the event that I'm going to listen to is click. Okay, whenever there is a click on this button, so what I need to do, I need to compute the BMI. Okay, so let's say uh, get BMI, that is the function that I'm going to call. All right, so whenever the button is clicked, I'm listening to the event, which is a click, and then there is a function that I'm going to call, which is by name get BMI. And this all will happen on load whenever the page is loaded. Okay, the first time the page is loaded, this is what is going to happen. So let's say this particular get BMI method, or the function that I need to define. So let's say function get BMI, and then there is open and close curly bracket. Here is what the body of the function will go into. So what all I need to do in order to get the BMI? So first thing is I need to take the height that is provided. I need to get the weight that is provided. And once the height and weight are produced, captured, then once I click it, I need to compute the result. Okay, and that result will be based on the formula that we saw, which is nothing but this formula. Okay, weight divided by height into height, which is height square. Okay, and let's see that. So here, first thing is we need to get these elements. All right. So let's say const height is equal to. So what height I'm going to get? Document dot query selector, and I need to get the height. Height I can get it from which? So there is an ID called height. I can get it by ID only. So let's say within the single quotes hash ID. Okay, and this will get me the height input, whatever the input that I have got. Next, in the similar way, I can copy and paste it. Instead of height, I'll take it as weight, and then the query selector will be weight here. And instead of height, it will be weight. So I have got height and weight captured in these two variables. Okay, and let's say there is also a variable that is ID that I have created, right? Inside this, I need to show up the result. So I'll select this also by a result. Okay, let's say I'll copy this and paste. Maybe this will be a result variable, and that I'm going to select by result ID. All right, so all the three, height, weight, and the result are, which is going to show below, are captured. All right, the elements are selected now. This is your DOM selection that is happening. All right, and now let's say so height and weight is there. Now I need to do what? I need to calculate the BMI, right? So for that, I'll create a variable called BMI. Const BMI will be equal to, let's say, what is the formula that we had? The formula that we had is weight divided by height into height. So remember that the weight will be in terms of kg. Kg needs to be the weight, and the height needs to be in meters. So in order to convert meter into centimeter, because centimeter is what we are capturing here, right? In order to convert that height into centimeters, so 1 meter is 100 centimeters. So you need to multiply 100 into 100, which is like 10,000. So that multiplication we need to make it. Okay. So let's go ahead and see the formula there. So first is, anyways, we have captured the weight. So weight will be there divided by, there is height into height that we need to talk about, or height square. So let's say height into height. Okay, and height into height was there in terms of meters, so we need to have that in meters. So I need to convert that into centimeters, right? So because centimeters that I have taken, convert that into meters, so which will be divided by 10,000. Okay, 100 into 100, because 1 meter is 100 centimeters. So for this 100 and for this 100, which will be 10,000. All right, so that I will divide entirely by weight. I need to have another parenthesis. Yeah, this should give me the height. I mean BMI. All right. So let's say that. So all right, this will compute me the BMI, and I'm calling that. Let's say let's test it. Let's say height is 150, weight is like okay, in terms of kgs. Let's say 55. Compute. So if I go ahead and capture that in terms of console.log and compute, let's say BMI. Let's see what it's going to give me. Here is my console. Say console and open it up. Let's say 150. This is 50. Compute. Yeah, it is giving me the NaN value, which is nothing but not a number. Let's see what is happening. prior to that, let's print the height and weight as well to see what is coming up there. So let's say weight, let's say height. All right, let's compute now. 160, and let's say this as 60. Calculate. Okay. So height is okay. This is input value, input value. All right. Number is process. Oh, got it. Okay. So what is happening here is because this is a value that we are talking about, right? So we need to take the height here. Okay. So because this is an input element, the value can be obtained by typing dot value. Okay. That is what will give me the value. Dot value. All right. So this will result into providing me the value rather than the element. Let's check that once again. So let's go ahead and give 160 and 60. Calculate. Yeah, now it is giving me the right value. Okay, so 60, 160, it is giving me like 23.424375. I don't need these four decimal places. Instead of that, for that, I can give two decimal places. There is a method called to fixed. Okay, to fixed will give me what in till what decimal places I want to take the value. So let's say I want to take the value for two decimal places because if you remember, these are all two decimal places for me because based on this value only I can give the results, right? So let's see this. I have this one opened. I'll open the input. Let's say 160 and 60, and this is going to give me, yeah, 23.44. So I have only two decimal places to be fixed. All right. So this is good. I'm getting closer to creating this. So now what is happening? All right, this is good enough. So I can remove these console statements now because my BMI is computing correctly. Now, based on this BMI value that I am getting, so I need to make certain decisions, right? Because that decision is what my result will be. Okay, let's say I'm going to talk about, let's take only two cases now. Okay, maybe three cases. What is that? One is less than 18.5, which is underweight. Almost between this range, 18.5 and 24.9 will be normal, and about 29.90 will be overweight. Let's consider three cases now for the time being. All right. So, what the output computation that I need to give here? Let's say if my BMI, whatever that I have got here, okay, if condition, if BMI is less than 18.50, then open and close parenthesis, I want to do something. So what I want to do, I want to show the result here, right? So for that, what is the ID that I have? The ID is that I'm capturing is result, and that is getting captured here, result. So result dot, then I want to update the inner HTML or inner text is fine, inner text, and that inner text will be equal, inner HTML will be equal to if it is less than 18.5, it is underweight. Okay, it is underweight. Let's test that. Okay, it is underweight. Now underweight, let's say else. Okay, I can add the else condition, or I can add else if, because I want to check another condition, right? That condition will be between this range, greater than or equal to 18.5 but less than 24.90. So I need to add that condition. If BMI is greater than what is that, greater than or equal to 18.50, and a logical and I'll close this parenthesis, and it should be what, 24.90, right? So, and BMI will be less than 24.9. All right. If this is the condition, then what I'm going to do, I'm going to get the result stated as inner HTML, and this will be normal. This will be normal. And again, let's go further and say else if, else if. Now for that condition, what is that? I need to take this value. If it is greater than or equal to 25 but less than 29.90. So I'll just copy this. Okay, just copy this and add, let's say 25 greater than or equal to 25.00, let's say, and but less than what? Less than 29.90. Okay, 29.90. Okay, so 90 here as well. Doesn't matter, but yeah, it should be good if we have the uniformity. And then I can go ahead and say for this case, right, the inner result.inner HTML, I'm going to update overweight. Okay, that should be overweight. Now, let's see, just let's check it for these three. Okay, have this condition satisfied, and I have this condition else if, yeah, this should be good. Let's say, let's see that what happens. So let's say 160 and 60 and compute. Yeah, it is going to show me normal, because but I am not getting the what BMI value is, right? Maybe I can add, yeah, maybe I can go ahead and add the, instead of this, I can go ahead and add the backtick so that I can show backtick character here. All right, and underweight with the actual value, which is BMI, show the BMI. And the same thing, I'll follow this backtick here, normal, and let's show the BMI as well, okay, which is dollar curly brackets, then show the BMI here, and then there is a backtick here, close the backtick character, okay, and inside that I'm going to show dollar curly brackets. Within the curly brackets I'm going to show the BMI. All right, let's do this again. Okay, 160 and 60 and compute. So normal, which is 23.44, is the BMI. Okay, so 23.44, if we observe this, so it should be falling between 18.5 and 24.90, which should be normal. Yeah, this is perfect. And if I go ahead and increase this 80 kgs, then let's say if I refresh it, let's go ahead and say 160, and then there is 80 kgs, or let's say 70 kgs, compute, and it is overweight, which is equal to 27.34. Okay, 27.34 will be this range, so it is showing the overweight. Yeah, perfect. So yeah, I mean, what you can see is a good BMI calculator that is really working as we expected. And maybe I can add a little bit space here between the calculate and the actual result. So for that I can add a margin. So for that, what I need to do is, let's go, what ID is that? The ID is result, right? So I can go ahead and do the ID selector. Okay. Let's say hash ID, then open curly, let's say margin top. Margin top, I'm going to add 20 pixel. Okay. Let's say I'm going to add 160 and 60. Compute. Yeah, well, no, there is a space here. Okay, perfect. So good. I mean, that is a good experiment what we did. It is altogether a mini project which we have a BMI calculator with the height in centimeters, weight in kilograms. It will calculate and show the resultant for us whether you are in underweight, overweight, and also normal. So if I go ahead and say 30 kgs, then it should go underweight. Okay, that is good, and it will also show the corresponding BMI. All right, thank you, and see you tomorrow, guys.